Good morning, everyone. This is Hussam Alzieni. I'm English instructor at Dubai Music College, Higher College of Technology, the United Arab Emirates. I hold a PhD in Education, English Language Curriculum and Teaching Methods, a Master's in TESOL, a BA in English in Teaching English to speakers of other languages as well. I hold also CELTA, Delta, and ICT diploma from Cambridge. My topic today is how to develop and assess learner autonomy, or we can say how to assess and develop learner autonomy. My presentation is based on research and practice at the same time. It was part of a study that I conducted at Dubai Music College from 2015-2017. And also, I have added some experience which I got after this research. So it's a mixture between research and practice. In this presentation, I will go over the study and the literature review. I will explain my methodology, which I call it I and me, learner autonomy development model, the findings and some application or some examples of activities that can develop learner autonomy or academic learner autonomy. Here in English language, we have previously known as English Foundations Department. Now it's called English Communication. We receive students from secondary school here in the Emirates who can't or who don't match the requirements of direct entry. Their MSAT score, MSAT is a proficiency test here in the Emirates. They get less than 1,100, which equals to less than band 5 in IELTS. Most or all these students are between A1 to B1, according to the common European framework of reference. What we notice about these students, they have a cumulative weakness in language skills. Some of them seem to lack motivation. We face some retention problems as some of these students leave our colleges for some reasons. But for me, the major thing is the lack of autonomy or academic autonomy for some of these students. We could receive some types of students. For example, student A and student B, whose language level is similar to each other. They could have some similarity in linguistic ability. And also some social background, some similarity in social background, because most of all our students that we receive in our colleges are local students, so they are coming from the same community, the same culture. However, I have noticed that some students develop their language proficiency, their language ability at the end of semester. We can find that student A has become better than student B, although they started at the same level. To my mind, learner autonomy is a big thing. The ability to take responsibility, the ability to solve the problems or to have self-initiative, the self-direction. This could affect the level of success or the level of language at the end of the semester. This is to my mind. So our teachers' goals, always we want a self-directed lifelong learner who controls his or her own learning effectively. And we agree that this autonomy could help language learner. And in literature, we have a lot that link autonomy to language learning. The terminology is we need a student who has self-instruction, self-access, self-reliance, self-monitoring, self-study, especially in this pandemic time, for distance learning and remote learning. Sometimes I can give an example to this. I ask my students, for example, to go to their OneDrive and upload their writing there. It's easy for one student to do this, or even to ask, how can I do it? For other students, it's like atomic bomb equation, just how can I do such a big thing? And I follow and follow, but the resistance is very high in some students to know or to try to develop their autonomy. My research questions at that time were 8 questions, but I'm just focusing today on 2 of them. What are the strategies that could develop academic autonomy? And what is the assessment tool that could measure the learner autonomy? What I mean by assessment tool here, just I want numbers. I want something that could be in figures, just to see this is 5, now it has become to 10 or to 11. I started to review literature, and the father of English of learner autonomy, his name is Hollick. Just to give simple definition of autonomy, which is the ability to take charge of one's own learning. And the autonomous learner always or usually solves problems and develops new ideas with a very minimal external guidance. He could ask, yes, he could have some support, but when time flies or time goes, he is able to do most of the stuff independently or by himself. The issue of learner autonomy, it's a multifaceted theme. It's a complicated, it's not an easy thing. There are a lot of factors that are affecting learner autonomy. So the question that came to my mind, how can I measure it? By reviewing literature, there are some attempts to measure learner autonomy, but there is no concrete evidence of a valid and reliable tool. Most of these attempts just were taking some surveys from the students. Some could be subjective or through observation. So I started to think about it. Actually, at the time when I was doing the research, okay, it could be okay to find ways to develop learner autonomy, but how can I assess it? How can I reach to numbers? How can I assess a student who enters a college, his first year, for example, in September, and how can I assess him in December after finishing his first semester, for example? Then I reviewed literature and literature again and again. Frankly speaking, one day I was watching an inspiring talk by a researcher called Brené Brown, and I saw this quote: if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. I really thought of this. If you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. So it came to my mind. So there would be a way to measure learner autonomy. Then I found it. It's a humble attempt from my side to try to discover a way to find numbers to learner autonomy. Yes. By reviewing literature, I found that there are 3 major indicators, 3 major factors that are affecting directly learner autonomy or academic autonomy. These 3 factors are inquiry-based skills, metacognitive skills, and emotional intelligence skills. By inquiry-based learning or inquiry-based skills, it was derived from the constructivist theory by Vygotsky and Piaget, in which a learner can construct his own knowledge by himself through his personal and community experience. And also, I looked up the relation between inquiry-based skills and the learner autonomy, and I found a positive relation between both of them, as the autonomous learner can independently choose aims and purposes, researches, compiles or synthesizes information, and can reach to solutions. This learner could have some HOTS, higher order of thinking skills, The second point is the metacognitive skills. Metacognitive skills by Flavel, or the first person, just to give a definition of it, it's a thinking about thinking or thinking over thinking. To reflect, it's simply the reflection. And also by looking up the information, by looking up literature about the relation between autonomy and metacognition, I found there is a positive relation, as the autonomous person, who is the person who can reflects on what he does, to find the best ways to improve, or to find his areas of weaknesses or the areas of strength, and to try to improve it. The third point is the emotional intelligence. And I think most of us are familiar with emotional intelligence. And the Goldman, one of the pioneers in this field, we have 4 areas in relation to emotional intelligence: the self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. And also by reviewing literature, I found that there is positive relationship between emotional intelligence and the learner autonomy. That the person who can manage himself, the person who knows something about himself, the person who can communicate with his society, who can manage the relation with the people around him, he is an autonomous learner as well. So I reached to this model. I suggested this model in 2017, which is based on these 3 main categories. I call it I and Me Learner Autonomy Development Indicator Model. I stands for inquiry-based skills, M, metacognitive skills, E for emotional intelligence skills. The idea is just we can have tests that test the 3 factors, and they are easy to test the 3 of them, because literature has a lot of assessments that can assess the 3 factors, and 3 of them could be similar to sides of a triangle. And by calculating the area of this triangle according to Irwin's formula, which is based on the sizes of a triangle, so we can reach 2 numbers. In my research at the time, I took 5 students as case studies, and we did the assessments. I did 2 inquiry-based projects, which they are web quests. And most of you, I think, are familiar with web quests. They started in 1995 by Bernie Dodge and in San Diego State University in the States. I did also 8 metacognitive tasks or reflections and 2 emotional intelligence assessments. These are 2 web quests I designed, I developed myself. And in the design of these web quests, I just looked also at the motivation of the students, because here in we are teaching male students and they like football, soccer, and such things. So I said, why not to design something related to their interests? So in a web quest, a student works collaboratively in a group. They read, analyze, synthesize, and can reach to a solution, or to do a project at the end of the project. For the metacognitive tasks or reflections, I adapted one from literature, which has a rubric to evaluate. It's very similar to assessing writing when we are doing writing with a rubric or something. So it is based on some, let's say, some theory by Dixon, which discovers or try to discover 4 areas of the learner, if he's liberal, behavioral, humanistic, or technical. By liberal, he's taking responsibility. Behavioral, he has the ability to develop his strategies, and also by humanistic, he could have some self-initiatives and direction. By technical, he could use his own ability to answer something. The third one is the emotional intelligence, and there are a lot in literature. You can find a lot of measures that you can use to measure your students' emotional intelligence. At the end of the study, I find that for student A, for example, in the beginning of the study, his level of autonomy is around 42.6%. At the end is 74.9%. It means that there is a development in his autonomy. The level of development differs from one student to another. And this is really what we can observe about our students. At the end of a semester, a student can achieve something great, while the other not, even though they started at the same level or language level. For example, the student's number, or let us see, he started with 28.4% and reached to 35%. Yes, there was an improvement, but not such big. This is an example for the student D, which started at 27.6% and reached to 64%. And this is the size of a triangle here, is smaller than the size of the triangle there. I know that it's not accurate in 100% measurement of the autonomy, but as I said, it's just an indicator of the level of development that the student has achieved. What I can reach at the end of research is that there is really a positive correlation between the three factors and learner autonomy: the inquiry-based skills, the metacognitive skills, and the emotional intelligence skills, and the academic autonomy. This is my design. So comes here the learner autonomy in the middle, and there are three major factors which are affecting it. The design here is for both how to develop and how to assess at the same time. So both ways of development or assessment are the same. This is an example. This is a web quest that I designed. Each web quest, and it's, as I said, it's old. It's just the web quest started in 1995. But I could say that it's a very, very effective tool for collaboration and project-based stuff for our students. Each one has introduction, tasks, process, evaluation, and conclusion. Something simple like that. This is the project that I did in the beginning, and this is the project that I did at the end, managing my expenses. They do some process, some steps. They work in groups. Each student has a role, and we can assign a leader to each group. The rule is based on the student's ability. And this is a model of reflection, which is I adapted from the literature, and also has also a rubric for to get numbers at the end of evaluating this. For emotional intelligence activities, I designed some lessons or some activities to the students that are that could play on the 4 areas of emotional intelligence. As I said, yeah, for example, here use the web to name some tourist attractions in the UAE. This is social awareness, just to know about the community that we are. I have also designed some questions that play on self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. This is a video that I ask a student to watch. I don't know if we can hear to it or not. Can I stop sharing and do it again, please?
So the mosque we're about to enter is one of the many few mosques that they actually allow tourists to go inside. There's a lot of areas that we are allowed to take pictures and record, which is not a problem. There are some areas that we have to be a bit respectful and we won't be able to record. So I'll try to get for you guys as much as we can. And for the other bits, you're just gonna have to come here to see it. So first things first, we actually have to leave the shoes here. Just entered the mosque. And the first thing you notice is this huge open space in front of you. You cannot understand like how big this entire area is. We have to walk on the outskirts of the pillar. That's where we're allowed to be. My tour guide over here basically told me that there are 82 different domes, all in different shapes and sizes.
Not in different shapes, just sizes.
Alright, all in different sizes. There is over 100,000 tons?
100,000 tons of marble.
100,000 tons of marble that was used to build this mosque. So we're just entering the main halls of the mosque, and here you can see behind me is all this flowers design which is surrounded on the entire wall of this room. There's a huge chandelier right on top of me.
Okay, let's be back to the to my presentation. I could have a breath now by watching the video there. Okay, so the questions are designed just to raise or the emotional intelligence skills for our students. This is just an example to you. And also this is the assessment. So this is the assessment that we can do at the end of a certain period of time. And I can use the model just to calculate the autonomy. As I said, just if it is in the beginning of the semester or at the end of the semester or whatever you decide. My idea here or just this is something I'm thinking of. I just think that the educational process of the student is similar to electric circuit. The students comes with some potentials and some abilities, and the learner autonomy here works as the electric current. Here, the skills of the inquiry-based skills, the metacognitive skills, the emotional intelligence skills works as a step-up transformer, which could maximize the size of autonomy for the students. Here, look, the students comes with this level of autonomy and it can ends with this level of autonomy, which just it has become better or bigger, and this will affect his performance. If the level of autonomy like this, so the performance wouldn't be such big like when the autonomy has become bigger like this. The next slide could show this for you. It's similar to a video. So the students come with certain abilities or some, what to say, potentials that he has. Here, this is the level of autonomy if we don't have any supporting skills or what we say scaffolding in this area. Look at 0. If we increase this 20%, 40%, so look at the student's achievement. It would be much better or higher or bigger compared with if we don't have such skills that we need to raise, or we need to make our students much better in this area. These are some pioneers in the field. Inquiry-based learning is Dewey, metacognitive skills level, learner autonomy Hollick, emotional intelligence Goldman, and some references that I used in my research. And thank you very much. And this is my email address in case you need the presentation or in case you need anything. Okay.
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Could I ask a question? If you
Yes.
just simplify the idea of independent learning by saying, I will give you a independent task every week, and you just note down who does it and who doesn't, and then by the end of the semester you have a number, how valid would that be? I mean, you're not focusing on emotional intelligence or anything. You just measure what they do outside of the classroom and have a number at the end of the semester.
Do you mean the number if the student has done, for example, 5 tasks or 6 tasks?
Exactly. Yeah. If
Okay.
if I said 16 tasks and they do 8, they get like 50%. That is a
Yeah.
number. I just don't know how valid that would be, because it doesn't show me anything else than the fact that they've done it.
I could agree. I could agree with you. It just gives an indicator of the
Ability.
of the ability or the independence of the students. But what I'm thinking of is how to develop this ability for the students. How can we give support? Because some students have really the potentials, but they don't use this potential, especially in our culture. And you are teaching Bjorn a long time with HCT, with our students, and
I know.
some of them need support, need some push in this field to improve their academic autonomy. And if you agree with me, I think this is a major area for success at the
No, I agree. I agree. But I mean, how would you then train them, for example, in metacognition? If you have an EFL 10 hours a week, how would you fit that into your syllabus to train them in metacognition, for example?
I can give one reflection at the end of each week, and simple questions like what did you like most? What didn't you like most? How could you find yourself improved in this area? What went well? What went wrong? So you just raise the abilities for a higher thinking of how to really assess him. It needs some training, because a lot of students don't think of the level of improvement that they have. They just study. They can take the input, but they don't have the ability to assess their output.
So basically, you're supporting their ability to articulate what they're doing.
Yes, true. Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Welcome.